Our next speaker of the night, a man by the name of Denarius Lewis, who is the CEO of Motivated Investors Group, which is a marketing company that was formed in 2015. Denarius is also a motivational speaker and he's very active in the community. Please join me in welcoming Denarius to Asada Speaks.
Now I know what you guys are thinking. What is this tan guy doing up here with this blazer on? Well, I'm here to tell you, in the wise words of Lady Gaga, I was born this way. This is my illustration of the diary of a resilient black man. And I say I was born this way because I kind of looked like this when I was growing up. For those that may not know me, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm an author, I'm an activist. I wear a lot of titles, but at the end of the day, I'm just a down-to-earth person that has a kind heart that generally believes he can save the world if he just gets out of his comfort zone. Now, when we talk of resilience, and when I start to wrap my head around what does it mean to be resilient? What does it mean to overcome adversity? And then I have to take a step back and look at my own story. For those that may not know, I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I grew up in Memphis. I was raised in Minnesota. Graduated high school in Burnsville. I was a big wrestler here in the States. Not WWE, not jumping off tables, actually on the mats and stuff like that. Eventually went to school in Iowa. I went to Iowa Central. I eventually had my 9th concussion. Now after 9 concussions, I was like, all right, I gotta do something different. I'm losing my memory, I'm having nosebleeds, and I eventually did cross country as well and ran 90 miles a week. Got tendonitis in both knees. Let's just say I don't run as much anymore. And when we think of resilience, we have to think about where we were in the past. And some people don't really want to live in the past. Well, we have to at least acknowledge where we are today. Where are we today? Let's break it down. When we think about where we are today as a people, African Americans, minorities, here's the ideas that come to mind. Slavery, systematic oppression, the new Jim Crow, the 13th Amendment. Being black is simply just being feared. And I had to learn that going through my own troubles and trials and tribulations, trying to just live. I mean, I have to overdress just to get treated in a way that I would always treat anyone else. I can't wear sweats, I can't wear hoodies, and if I do wear hoodies, I look like a suspect or I look suspicious. And I never understood that until I got out of my cul-de-sac. I'm from the suburbs. I'm from Burnsville, Minnesota. We go golfing here and there. I live a very simple life and single-parent household. So when I went into the cities, when I went into the real world, my mom prepared me, but reality hit. Well, I was black. No matter where I dressed, no matter how I smiled, no matter how I perceived myself, the world was already going to perceive me however they view black people. And so when I had to say, I'm not going to be reviewed for my skin, I'm going to be reviewed for my character. And so if we were all blind here, we would interact with each other as we are communicating. But when we open our eyes, that's when we start to have our own pre-bias, our judgments. And when we carry those judgments through our entire life, we end up putting other people down in life. But how do you view yourself? One of the big quotes I always ask people, the world views you how you view you. Have a sober conversation with yourself in the mirror and say, how do you actually love yourself, care about yourself, and what are you willing to do to actually overcome all the barriers that life throws at you? Because it's not about what life throws at you, it's how you approach it. PowerPoints, this stuff. Whatever someone did to you in the past has no power over the present. Only you give power to it. Oprah Winfrey. And now when I read that quote, it was like, it just hit home. Because we give up our power so much to the enemy. Whether that enemy is a person that doesn't reflect your religious views, your political views, or just your views in general. But when we give up our power, it's because we don't know who we are. And we have a big country that is genuinely divided. I have a kind heart when it comes to the Republican Party, to the Democratic Party, because at the end of the day, they're humans. They're just preaching what they believe. Technology, see? All right, there we go. Wave that around a little bit. So what do we do from next? Where do we go from here? Well, when I see all the things that are happening, not only in the world of called gentrification, the things that are happening in all the inner cities and the urban communities that they code, aka the African American communities and minority communities, all this coded language. How do we actually change this verbiage? Well, we must create jobs, we must build sustainable businesses, We must grow our own foods. We will not survive this thing called by eating processed foods. It does not work that way. We must protect ourselves. Now, obviously, I'm kind of tan and I really can't carry a gun on me because I'm already expected to have a gun. But I had to overcome my fear a couple weeks ago. And I went and got my permit to carry, me and my partner. Well, that was kind of troubling because at the end of the day, even if I want to protect myself, I'm already expected to have it, even if I don't have it. So how do we actually protect ourselves if the world views us as already dangerous? Well, having a voice is one. Nowadays, we have to have a smartphone to protect ourselves. What must we do to change the narrative of generational poverty or generational wealth? Well, we must take back ownership. We have too many renters. Anyone in the room that rents? Raise your hand. Rents is high. Rents are rising. When I used to live in Edina, again, get me started. My rent a month was $1,950 a month. I know. I was splitting it, living paycheck to paycheck, just trying to come up and live in an area that was nice, that I just want to live, that was walking distance from a Starbucks, a Target, Not looking to live in the things we now learn as food deserts. Because if I were to move into a community that looks like me, I would have to walk or drive 10 miles, 15 miles to the nearest Cup Foods or Walmart, whatever they continue to put into the food deserts. We must break that cycle. How do we break it? Well, we must own real estate. We must become first-generational business owners, entrepreneurs. I'm the first one in my family that's an entrepreneur or a business owner or struggling business owner, whatever that looks like, I don't know. But we must step out that comfort zone. Everything that you're doing, you must do to redevelop the family. As I look at my people, we're missing a lot of the fathers in the homes, including my own. So when I go back home, I'll go back to Tennessee. My mother's always like, you're just like your dad. Who? That's my joke to myself. Like, who? Well, I know my dad grew up with him, but he wasn't around as much as he should have been. Well, do I carry that pain with me to my entire life and use my excuses to life why I'm not who I am or who I strive to be? Well, because a lot of my father figures were Caucasian males. My first one was my wrestling coach, Bill Soderholm. I have mentors to this day that are, again, they don't reflect my background, my skin tone, but it's what we have in our hearts that ultimately gets us that collaboration called love. How do we change the world if we continue to see the world as it is? Well, we must reflect ourselves. Back in 2013, I was reflecting on where I wanted to go in life as an ambitious 19-year-old kid. I said, what am I going to do? I went to 3 colleges in 3 years, put myself in over $60,000 in debt. I'm broke. So in the summer of 2013, I survived with only $1.78. My food budget a month was $10. All I ate was chicken nuggets and homemade fries that I made from Walmart. And some sweet berets. You gotta put some barbecue sauce on that, trust me. To be black is to be resilient. Because at the end of the day, when we start to realize that we are black, we have to be resilient to all the things life throws at us. Oppression, the rents, not being able to apply for a job and know that you may not get that job because your name sounds ethnic. Not everyone can pronounce Denarius, but if you look at the origins of Denarius, Denarius is actually Roman for money. It's a Roman coin. I'm made of money, guys, come on. What is this? And we live in a world where resilience comes in so many different terms. To be resilient is to know that tomorrow is a better day than today. When you think about overcoming adversity, you have to address what adversity looks like. Adversity can simply be someone coming up to you and saying a rude comment. But that rude comment eventually turns into a cancerous tumor that you bottled up and you weren't able to find a way to actually express it. Now, I've been guilty of that plenty of times. Yeah, I'm nice, I'm funny up here. Yeah, I look good. I know I dress well, whatever. But behind all the jokes, I've been harboring plenty of pain. What does it mean to be a black male? What does it mean to love a woman? What does it mean to be a man? When I grew up, I always heard, grow up, don't cry, tough it up, be a man. Well, I grew up with all women. So can we talk about it? Can we express it? Can we cry? Can we hug? Can we do these things that, again, whatever man does or doesn't do, I don't know. But when I took my anger out on people, I had to join the sports for that. Did quite well in wrestling, with the state, was ranked in state and all other stuff. But when I think of resiliency and how other people can relate to it and use those narratives